help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts on the video. Your feedback helps make the contents better. Now let's get to the story.
My hands were shaking so badly, I nearly dropped the package. Inside wasn't a bomb or drugs or anything you'd expect from a mysterious delivery at a grocery store parking lot. No, what I found was worse. Much worse. It was a stack of photographs, each one showing my son Nash in what looked like a hospital bed, thin as a skeleton, hooked up to machines I couldn't name. And sitting beside him in every single photo, holding his hand, laughing, living her best life, was some woman I'd never seen before. Not his wife. Not Karen, the daughter-in-law who'd been feeding me lies for over 2 years about overseas work trips and confidential projects. My name is Richard Morris. I'm 63 years old, and until that moment in the Whole Foods parking lot, I thought I was just a regular retired accountant living a quiet life in suburban Michigan. I'd spent 35 years crunching numbers for a mid-sized manufacturing company, raised 2 kids after my wife passed when they were young, and considered myself pretty good at reading people. Turns out, I was terrible at it. Absolutely terrible. The delivery driver who handed me that package was young, maybe mid-20s, with nervous eyes that kept darting around like he was being followed. "Are you Nash's father?" he'd asked, and when I nodded, he shoved the box into my hands. "It's yours now, just open it alone." Then he practically ran back to his van. No company logo, no explanation, just gone. I should probably back up and explain how I got here, standing in a parking lot at 9 in the morning holding evidence that my entire family life was a lie. Nash is my oldest, 34 years old, worked in tech, or so I thought. Smart kid, always was. Got his degree in computer science from University of Michigan, landed a good job at some startup that got bought out by a bigger company. That's when he met Karen. She was in marketing, blonde, always put together, the kind of woman who smiled with too many teeth. I never liked her much, if I'm being honest, but Nash seemed happy, so I kept my mouth shut. That's what good fathers do, right? We shut up and let our kids make their own mistakes. They got married 5 years ago. Small wedding. Karen's family was loaded, so they paid for everything. Made it real clear I was just there to show up and smile for photos. I did my part. Walked Nash down the aisle since his mother couldn't be there. Gave a short speech about love and commitment that I barely remember now. Drank too much champagne and went home alone to my empty house. For the first 3 years, everything seemed normal. Nash would visit every few weeks. We'd watch football, eat pizza, talk about nothing important. Then, about 2 years ago, things changed. The visits became less frequent. When I'd call, Karen would answer, her voice always sticky sweet. "Oh, Richard, Nash is on a business trip. You know how it is. These tech companies work them to death. He's in Singapore this month. Or was it Seoul? I can never keep track." At first, I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Tech companies do send people overseas. But 2 months became 4, became 6. I'd get occasional texts from Nash's number, short messages that didn't sound like him. "Hey, Dad, still traveling. Work's crazy. Talk soon." No phone calls, no video chats, just texts. I started to worry, started asking questions. Karen had answers for everything. "The time difference is terrible, Richard. He's sleeping when you're awake." Or, "The project is classified. He can't talk about it." Or my personal favorite, "He's just really focused right now. You know how Nash gets when he's working on something important." The thing is, she was good. Really good. She'd send me photos occasionally, Nash at what looked like fancy restaurants in foreign cities, Nash in front of famous landmarks, always alone though, never with coworkers, never with her. I couldn't make this trip. Someone has to keep things running at home. My daughter, Beth, thought I was being paranoid. "Dad, he's a grown man. He's building his career. Stop being so clingy." Beth lives in California, married to a lawyer, 2 kids I barely see. We're not close. Haven't been since she blamed me for not saving her mother, as if I could have stopped the cancer, as if I didn't try everything. So I backed off, stopped asking so many questions, let Karen feed me whatever story she wanted. I was the good father again, the one who didn't make waves. The sucker. Now here I was, looking at photos that told a completely different story. The metadata on the printed pictures showed dates. The most recent was from 3 weeks ago. The oldest was almost exactly 2 years ago, right when Nash supposedly went overseas for the first time. There was a note tucked under the photos, handwritten on plain paper. Mr. Morris, my name is Jessica. I'm a nurse at St. Mary's Hospital in Ohio. I've been taking care of your son Nash for the past 23 months. He has advanced leukemia. His wife Karen visits once a month, stays for an hour, and leaves. She told him you knew about his condition and chose not to visit. She told him you said you couldn't handle watching him die. I'm risking my job by sending this, but Nash talks about you constantly. He thinks you abandoned him. I thought you should know the truth before it's too late. He doesn't have much time left. I'm sorry. I found your address through Nash's emergency contacts and hired someone to deliver this to you directly. Karen can't know. Room 437. I'm not a violent man. Never have been. Didn't even spank my kids when they were little. But standing there in that parking lot, I wanted to kill someone. The rage that went through me was so intense, I actually saw red. Like, literally, my vision went red around the edges. I got in my car and just sat there for probably an hour, reading the note over and over, looking at the pictures. My son, my boy, dying in a hospital 3 hours away, thinking I didn't care enough to visit, thinking I couldn't handle it, while that woman, that absolute demon he married, was doing what? Living in his house, spending his money, lying to everyone? I needed to think, needed to plan, because if I drove to that hospital right now, I'd probably say or do something that would make this situation worse for Nash, and he was the priority. He had to be. First, I called my lawyer. Alan's been handling my affairs since before my wife died. Good guy, discreet, doesn't ask too many questions. Alan, I need you to look into something for me. My daughter-in-law, Karen Morris. I want to know everything. Bank accounts, property, employment history, social media, everything. And I need it fast.
Richard, what's going on? Something very bad. How fast can you get me information? Give me 48 hours. You have 24. Next, I did something I'm not proud of, but desperate times and all that. I drove to Nash's house. Our house, really. I'd helped with the down payment, though Karen didn't like to acknowledge that. I still had a key from when I used to water their plants during vacations, before Nash went overseas. The house was empty. Karen was at work, probably. I walked through it like a stranger, seeing it with new eyes. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. Not a dish out of place, not a piece of mail visible, nothing personal anywhere. The guest room, where I'd stayed a few times, was now a home gym. Nash's office was completely redone, all his stuff gone, replaced with Karen's makeup station and ring lights. There were photos on the walls, but Nash wasn't in most of them, just Karen. Karen at wine bars with friends, Karen at company events, Karen on vacation in places Nash supposedly was. I found what I was looking for in the bedroom, a laptop charging on her nightstand. Karen wasn't as smart as she thought. Her password was her birthday. Took me 3 tries. Her email was a gold mine. I'm not going to lie, I sat there for 2 hours reading through everything, and with each email the picture became clearer and so much worse than I imagined. Karen knew about Nash's diagnosis from the beginning. There were emails from his doctor at St. Mary's, messages about treatment options, insurance claims, but there were also other emails to her friends, complaining about how Nash getting sick had ruined her plans, to a divorce lawyer asking about separating finances before Nash's medical bills could drain everything, to her mother saying she was playing the devoted wife until the situation resolved itself. If you're still watching, you might want to subscribe because what happens next is going to get wild, and trust me, you don't want to miss where this story goes. Hit that bell icon too, because this revenge is just getting started. But the worst ones, the ones that made my hands shake so hard I could barely read, were the emails to Nash himself. She'd been writing to him once a week, these long messages about how hard it was for her, how much she missed him, how she was holding down the fort at home. All lies, every single word. And Nash, sweet, dying Nash, had been writing back, apologizing for being sick, thanking her for being so strong, telling her how much he loved her. There was one email that stood out. Nash had asked if I could visit, just once. He wanted to see me before the end. Karen's response was cold, calculated, and absolutely evil. She'd told him I had said it was too painful, that I couldn't bear to see him like that I had asked her not to tell him, but she felt he deserved to know the truth. She'd typed out this fake conversation, complete with quotes she claimed I'd said. "He's not my son anymore, Karen. That skeleton in my hospital bed isn't the Nash I raised. I want to remember him as he was." I never said those words, never even had that conversation, but Nash believed it. Of course he did. Why would his wife lie about something like that? I copied everything to a flash drive, every email, every document, every piece of evidence of her lies. Then I put the laptop back exactly where I found it and left. The drive to Ohio took 3 hours. I called the hospital from the road, asked to speak to Jessica. It took some convincing. Nurses aren't supposed to give out patient information, but when I told her I was the one who received the package, her voice cracked. "Mr. Morris, I'm so glad you're coming. Nash has been asking for you. He doesn't know I sent those photos. He still thinks you chose not to come." "How bad is it?" "He's in hospice care now. The cancer spread to his brain 3 months ago. He's still coherent most of the time, but he's weak, very weak. Mr. Morris, I have to tell you, when he does talk, a lot of it is about you, about memories from when he was young. He talks about fishing trips and building model airplanes and how you taught him to ride a bike. I don't know what that woman told you or told him, but whatever happened between you two, he loves you very much." I had to pull over, just completely pull off the highway and sit there because I couldn't see through the tears. My son was dying, thinking I'd abandoned him, while remembering all the good times we'd had, while I'd been sitting in my house watching football alone, believing he was too busy for work to call. When I got to the hospital, Jessica met me in the lobby. She was exactly what I pictured from her handwriting. Young, maybe 30, with kind eyes and tired shoulders. She looked at me like she'd been carrying a heavy secret and was relieved to finally put it down. "Before you see him, you need to understand something," she said. "The brain cancer affects his memory sometimes. He might not recognize you right away. He might say things that don't make sense, but underneath it all, he's still Nash, still your son. Does he know I'm coming? No, I didn't want to get his hopes up in case you decided not to come." She paused. "I'm sorry. That came out wrong. I just meant, I understand. You were protecting him. Thank you for that. Thank you for sending the package." She led me to the 4th floor, down a hallway that smelled of antiseptic and sadness. 437 was at the end. The door was half open. I could see machines, tubes, the edge of a bed. "Mr. Morris," Jessica touched my arm. "Whatever you're feeling right now, whatever anger or pain, try to put it aside when you go in there. He needs peace. He needs to know you love him. Everything else can wait." She was right, but she was also wrong, because some things can't wait. Some people don't deserve peace. I walked into that room and barely recognized my son. The man in the bed was maybe 100 pounds. His head was wrapped in bandages, and he had tubes coming out of everywhere. But his eyes, when they opened and focused on me, were still Nash's eyes, still my boy's eyes. "Dad?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Am I dreaming?" I sat down next to him, took his hand. It felt like holding bird bones. "No, son. I'm here. I'm really here." "But Karen said, she said you couldn't—" He trailed off, confused. "Karen lied. About everything. I didn't know you were sick, Nash. I swear to God I didn't know. I thought you were traveling for work. I've been waiting for you to come home." The tears that ran down his face broke something in me that I don't think will ever be fixed. "You didn't abandon me. Never. I would never. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't figure it out sooner." We talked for hours. Well, I talked. He listened, drifting in and out. I told him about everything I'd missed, everything Karen had kept from me. I told him about the package, about finding the emails, about the truth. When he was lucid enough to understand, the look on his face was worse than the tears. It was betrayal. Complete, total betrayal. "Why would she do this?" he asked. I didn't have a good answer. Still don't. Some people are just evil. Some people are just selfish. Maybe Karen was both. Over the next week, I barely left that hospital. I'd been retired anyway, so there was nothing pulling me back home. I slept in the chair next to Nash's bed, ate cafeteria food, and spent every moment I could with my son. We talked about everything: his childhood, his mother, his regrets, his fears. He told me about the pain, about knowing he was dying, about how alone he'd felt. "The worst part wasn't the cancer," he said one night. "It was thinking you'd given up on me, thinking I'd disappointed you somehow. You never disappointed me, not once, not ever." By now, you're probably wondering when the revenge comes in, and trust me, it's coming. Make sure you're subscribed because the next part is where Karen gets exactly what she deserves, and it's going to be satisfying. Alan, my lawyer, sent me the full report on Karen. It was worse than I thought. She'd been having an affair for over a year with some guy from her gym, Brad. Of course his name was Brad. She'd moved money from Nash's accounts into her own, claiming it was for medical expenses, but the paper trail showed luxury purchases, designer bags, jewelry, a lease on a BMW. She'd taken out life insurance on Nash, 3 separate policies totaling almost $2 million. She was waiting for him to die, living her best life while her husband wasted away in a hospital, telling everyone what a saint she was for dealing with such a tragedy. I found her social media posts, all about being a cancer wife and staying strong through the hard times. There were even photos of her at fundraisers for cancer research, looking somber and brave. The comments were full of people praising her strength. It made me sick. Nash asked me to do something. It was about 2 weeks after I arrived, during one of his clear moments. "Dad, I need you to make sure she doesn't get away with this. I've been lying here for 2 years, and I figured out what she was doing, why she stopped visiting as much, why she always seemed relieved when I told her the treatments weren't working. I want her to pay for what she did to both of us." "What do you want me to do?" He smiled. It was weak, but it was there. "You're an accountant. You're good with details. I trust you to figure something out. Just promise me you'll make it hurt." "I promise." 3 days later, Nash passed away. Jessica was there, holding one hand. I was holding the other. His last words were, "Thanks for coming back, Dad. I knew you would." Karen showed up to the hospital exactly 30 minutes after he died. Jessica must have called her. She walked into that room with fake tears already streaming down her face, dressed all in black like she'd been preparing for this moment. She saw me and froze. "Richard, what are you doing here?" "Saying goodbye to my son, the son you kept from me for 2 years." "I don't know what you're talking about. Nash didn't want to see you. He told you nothing because you lied to him, just like you lied to me, just like you've been lying to everyone." She looked around, seeing Jessica standing there, and her expression changed, calculated, cold. "I think grief is making you confused, Richard. We should talk about this later, in private." "Oh, we're going to talk, but not here. Nash deserves better than to have your poison near him anymore." I walked out. Let her do her crying widow act for the nurses. I had work to do. The funeral was a circus. Karen planned the whole thing, of course. Huge affair, hundreds of people I didn't recognize, most of them her friends and coworkers. She gave a speech about love and loss that would have won an Oscar. I sat in the front row, saying nothing, watching her performance. At the reception, people kept coming up to me, offering condolences. "Karen's been so strong through all this," they'd say. "You must be so grateful she was there for Nash when you couldn't be." I smiled, nodded. Let them believe whatever lies she'd told them, because I was playing a longer game. After everyone left, after Karen had soaked up all the sympathy and attention she could, I approached her.
We need to talk about Nash's estate. There's nothing to talk about. I'm his wife. Everything goes to me. Not quite everything. See, Nash made some changes before he died, had a lawyer visit him at the hospital, made a new will. The color drained from her face. That's not possible. He wasn't coherent. Any will made under those conditions would be invalid. He was perfectly coherent. Jessica documented it. So did the doctor on duty and the lawyer. All very official, all very legal. What did he do? Her voice was shaking now. He left everything to me. The house, the accounts, the life insurance, all of it. Well, almost all of it. He left you something too. What? Bills. Medical bills, specifically. Turns out when you transfer money out of joint accounts and claim it's for medical expenses, you actually have to use it for medical expenses. Otherwise, it's fraud. Nash accumulated about $300,000 in debt from his treatment. As his spouse, you're responsible for half. Congratulations. She stood there, mouth open, trying to process. You can't do this. I'll fight it. Please do, because when you do, all those emails you sent will become public record, the ones to your boyfriend, the ones about waiting for Nash to die, the ones about the insurance money. I'm sure the insurance companies will be very interested in those, especially since you filed the claims while we were having this conversation. That's fraud too, by the way, filing a claim based on a death you were hoping would happen.
You're blaming me for his death? I'm not blaming you for the cancer, but I am blaming you for stealing 2 years of his life from him. 2 years he could have spent with people who actually loved him, instead of alone in a hospital room thinking he'd been abandoned. Yeah, Karen, I blame you for that. She tried a different approach. Tears. Richard, please. I know I made mistakes, but I loved Nash. I was young and scared and didn't know how to handle it. Don't do this, please. You know what Nash said to me the day before he died? He said he spent 2 years thinking about our last fishing trip. We'd gone up to a lake in Wisconsin, just the two of us. He caught a huge bass, must have been 6 pounds. We took a photo, threw it back. He said he'd look at that photo on his phone every day. Want to know what else he told me? She didn't answer. He told me you threw his phone away 6 months into his treatment, said it was broken. But he knew you just didn't want him contacting anyone without you controlling the message. He couldn't call me even if he wanted to, and he wanted to. Every single day he wanted to. I stepped closer, close enough that she backed up against the wall. So no, Karen, I'm not going to let you play the scared young wife card. You're 32 years old. You're a marketing executive. You know exactly what you did, and now you're going to pay for it. The legal battles took months. Karen hired a good lawyer, tried to fight the will, tried to claim Nash wasn't competent, tried everything. But Alan was better, and the evidence was overwhelming. The emails alone were enough, but combined with the financial records, the testimony from Jessica and the other nurses, the timeline of her affair, she didn't stand a chance. In the end, she got nothing, less than nothing. The medical debt, the legal fees from trying to fight the will, the investigation from the insurance companies, it buried her. She had to file for bankruptcy, lost her job when her company found out about the fraud investigation. Her boyfriend Brad left her the second things got messy. I sold Nash's house and donated every penny to St. Mary's Hospital, specifically to their leukemia research wing. They named it after Nash. There's a plaque in the lobby with his photo, the photo from that fishing trip, and the story of his fight. No mention of Karen. She's been erased from his legacy completely. As for me, I used some of the life insurance money to set up a foundation. It helps families dealing with cancer, specifically to prevent the kind of isolation and manipulation that happened to Nash. We pay for travel costs so family members can visit. We provide communication devices so patients can stay in touch with loved ones. We offer legal services to people who suspect financial abuse during illness. It's been almost a year now. I visit Nash's grave every week, tell him about the foundation, about the people we've helped. Sometimes I bring Jessica. She quit her job at St. Mary's and now runs the foundation full-time. Turns out she's brilliant at it. Caring for Nash changed her, made her want to do more. Last week, I got an email from Karen. First contact since the legal stuff ended.
Subject line, I'm sorry. I deleted it without reading. Some people don't deserve forgiveness. Some people don't deserve closure. What Karen deserves is to live the rest of her life knowing that her greed and cruelty cost her everything. Her husband, her money, her reputation, her future. And me? I got 2 more years with my son. 2 years of memories I wouldn't trade for anything. Were they painful? Absolutely. Did watching him die destroy something in me? Without question. But at least he died knowing he was loved, knowing I never abandoned him, knowing that his father fought for him, even when he couldn't fight for himself. That's revenge. Not some dramatic confrontation or violent outburst. Just making sure that someone who thought they could lie and steal and manipulate their way through life ended up with exactly what they deserved. Nothing. While the person they hurt got remembered, honored, and loved. Nash wanted her to pay, and she did. In every way that matters, she lost everything, and I made sure everyone knows why. Her friends, her family, her professional network, they all know what she did. She can't hide behind fake tears and carefully crafted social media posts anymore. The truth followed her everywhere she tried to go. Sometimes late at night, I think about that delivery driver handing me the package in the parking lot. I think about Jessica risking her job to tell me the truth. I think about how close I came to never knowing, to letting Karen get away with it all, to Nash dying alone thinking I didn't care. And I think about how revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, patient, thorough. Sometimes revenge is just making sure the truth comes out and letting it do the work for you. Karen destroyed her own life. I just made sure everyone was watching when she did it. My name is Richard Morris. I'm 63 years old, and I kept my promise to my son. If this story hits you as hard as it hit me to tell it, do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes the truth needs to be told, even when it's painful. And hey, I want to know where you're watching from. Drop your country or state in the comments below. Are you from the US? Let me know which state. Philippines? Canada? Somewhere else entirely? I love seeing how far these stories reach, and it reminds me that no matter where we are in the world, we all understand what betrayal feels like, and we all believe that justice matters. A special shout out to my viewers from the US, the Philippines, and Canada. You 3 make up the biggest part of this community, and I see you showing up in the comments every video. Your support means everything, and it's what keeps these stories coming. So, comment below. Let me know where you're from and whether you think Richard's revenge was justified. Did Karen get what she deserved, or should he have done more? I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.